Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for our in-depth look at the Dell ThinOS and Wyse Management Suite. We have a really great event for you today with some really knowledgeable experts. Feel free to pop into the chat, say hi to your community members, and engage with us today. We look forward to seeing you and learning with you and connecting with you as a member of the community. And then I'm sure you guys are all very familiar. As I say at the beginning of all of our webinars, we got to go through this stuff, so I'll be really quick. But this webinar is being recorded, so if you ever want to go back and look and listen, it'll be available on our site post-event. Please make sure to stay on mute while our presenters are speaking, so all of our members of community can have a good experience today. And if you're comfortable, please turn on your camera. We're here to connect with you. We're here to learn with you and grow with you as well. And if you have a question, always the chat function is there. But if you want to go off mute and be that brave participant, we will unmute you and you can ask your question to our Dell experts. Wanted to highlight a couple of our upcoming events here. There is the Intel Innovation event. Intel is one of our big partners, so wanted to highlight this event for them. It's coming up October 27th through the 28th. All of the details on that event are up on the Dell Client Community website, so please be sure to check that out. And then also we are having a webinar on the Windows 11 launch, which just happened a couple weeks ago. So that will be a really great event as well. You'll have some communications in your inbox, and you can always check that out on our site. And then, of course, we have our post-event survey that we have once our presenters have completed. So be sure to stay through the entirety of the event, so that way you have the opportunity to win a $25 Amazon gift card. We'll be selecting 4 survey participants to win this Amazon gift card, so you must participate in order to win. And then I will go forward and present our speakers today. So with us today, we have Fred Wabel. He is a ThinOS and Wyse product owner at Dell Technologies. And then I have Stephen Bowyer, who is a Wyse Management Suite product planner at Dell Technologies. So with that, I will hand it off to you, Fred.
Thank you very much. Go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Fred Wabel. I am the product owner here for ThinOS. And I'm here today to present an overview of ThinOS to you. I'm going to start off with a short video here, and then afterwards, we'll jump right into the session.
Dell's most secure thin client operating system just got better. This latest generation is deployment ready for leading virtual workspaces from Citrix, VMware, Microsoft, and Amazon. Wyse ThinOS 9.1 delivers virtual machine optimization for in-demand collaboration tools, including Microsoft Teams and Zoom Cloud Meetings. And with a tight integration with Wyse Management Suite, systems utilizing ThinOS can be intelligently managed and easily maintained. With ThinOS 9.1, organizations benefit from improved user productivity, strong security, and streamlined manageability. Enhance your virtual workspaces with Dell Thin Clients.
So as you can see, we basically went through the basics around ThinOS and then our ThinOS 9 operating system. Our ThinOS 9 operating system is the next generation operating system. Our prior offering with our ThinOS 8 operating system basically is being replaced with ThinOS 9. ThinOS 9 has a lot of advantages, such as expansions as far as the virtual workspace environments, additional security features and functionalities that you get. And also it basically has the ability to be coupled with zero-touch management when you're using Wyse Management Suite. So ThinOS, being the world's most secure operating system, it does have no local browser or command shell, so it basically is highly secure. With the user experience, we do support all of the leading edge virtual workspaces. And we also provide support for the plugins for VDI optimization for popular applications such as Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and Cisco WebEx. In addition, the management through Wyse Management Suite gives you that hands-free deployment abilities and the ability to do dynamic device configuration and management effortlessly. Now, choosing an OS is one of the most important things you need to do and consider when you're deploying your endpoint devices. We have three primary OSs that are in our portfolio. The first one is being ThinOS. If you have a VDI environment and you are focusing on ease of management and high security, ThinOS is an operating system that you should consider for placing into that environment. If you're needing to have access to a VDI environment, but need to go a little bit further and have local application execution or the ability to have a web browser to meet your needs, then you should consider our Windows 10 operating system, which does give you a little bit more flexibility and the ability to run third-party applications that you do not have within OS. Finally, our newest and our latest offering is the Dell Hybrid Client, which is basically Ubuntu Linux with the Dell Hybrid Client layering, which gives you not only the ability to have local application execution, but also it extends beyond VDI and gives you the ability to do cloud-based or cloud-native app computing as well. For ThinOS, we're going to be focusing on this session on ThinOS, which is Dell's exclusive, highly secure, deployment-ready operating system. And this operating system enables a new hybrid work from home or work from remote offices capabilities that a lot of organizations have had to adapt to recently in order to meet the dynamic needs of their environment. And does it in a way that you can be assured that it is highly secured and that your corporate resources can be managed at any time from anywhere. ThinOS is specifically designed to meet the changing needs of this dynamic market. So looking at the environment as a whole, one of the major items that endpoint users are always concerned about is security. IT leaders basically feel it is challenging to basically deploy clients into remote offices and remote workspaces such as home offices. In addition, 48% of employees basically say they are less likely to follow the safe practices when they are working from the remote offices or home offices as well. In addition, there's been recent spikes in ransomware attacks on global organizations. All of these considerations should be taken into account when making a selection for an endpoint device. ThinOS is uniquely positioned to go ahead and address these concerns. ThinOS is secure by design. It has hardened surfaces, secure boot functionality, disk encryption that prevents the attacks from occurring in the first place. In addition to that, with this hardened surfaces design, ThinOS is highly virus and malware resistant. Many of the virus and malware attacks that affect Linux-based operating systems and also affect Windows-based operating system don't occur on ThinOS because of the hardened surfaces that ThinOS has. Last but definitely not least, ThinOS basically works with our partners such as Imprivata with OneSign and with Identity Automation Quick Access to provide industry-leading solutions for identity, and it also incorporates industry standard protections to ensure that you're able to form secure connections to your virtual environments. Likewise, user experience is basically is going to affect our users' productivities. Users that basically report freezings and bugs and glitches or state that they will have a negative user experience will basically make them less productive in their work. Also, customers have stated that that they are 84% of the customers have stated that their employees' productivity is a priority, and that they want to ensure that their customers have the best productivity and the best user experience that they can when they are using endpoint devices, whether they're working from the office or working from home. ThinOS addresses these needs as well. ThinOS is designed with a modern desktop mode that is coupled with instant on technology to give you the ability to seamlessly control not only the desktop, but your virtual sessions that are on that desktop as well. In addition, ThinOS is deployment ready, meaning that we work with over 20 partners to include and embed their technologies within our solutions so that when the units are coming out of the box, they are ready to attach to Citrix, VMware, Microsoft, Amazon, and Teradici environments. In addition to being able to attach to virtual environments, the collaboration tools such as Microsoft Teams optimization, Citrix WebEx meetings and WebEx Teams optimization, and Zoom optimization come standard and as part of the ThinOS operating system. And you can couple this with a rich selection of ecosystem devices that are available through Dell as well, that are pre-qualified peripherals that can further enhance the user's productivity. Here is an example of a change that we have made from our ThinOS 8.6 operating system to our ThinOS 9 operating system. Here you can see the difference between what we have done in the past and our legacy platform compared to what you see now in the future. You can see that the desktop controls have been completely redesigned, once again, to simplify the session and the device management control, making it easier for the users to get access to the items that they require and making their experience more pleasurable when using our client devices. The modern desktop mode is a unique feature of ThinOS that is not available on any other client. In addition, collaboration is the key item, especially with us working from home offices. The need to basically collaborate with our peers, especially using unified communications, is a key to success for many companies. If you look at our virtual environment, when you're running without optimization and VDI optimization on your client, your applications such as Microsoft Teams, Zoom, or WebEx then will use additional virtual environment resources, and the data and the traffic will be sent through that particular environment, thus causing delays and lags in your communications and having an undesirable experience. With unified communications optimization, this is eliminated. We have the ability to take audio, video, and desktop sharing and go peer-to-peer, and this provides an experience to our customers to where they can still have the secure access into the virtual environment and access to everything on the virtual environment while doing their unified communications peer-to-peer so that they have that improved scalability and an enhanced user experience. With ThinOS 9, with Citrix Workspace app, we have complete support for all 6 of the most popular unified communications tools that are out there on the market. In addition, with VMware Blast, currently we have support for 5 out of the 6, and there is efforts going on to support in the future the Cisco WebEx meetings as a deliverable when you're using VMware Blast as well. As we had stated before, accessories are key. Ecosystem devices from Dell can be purchased at the point of purchase when you go through and purchase the client as well. Ecosystem devices are devices that we go through and certify with use for with ThinOS in virtual environments. They go through rigorous testing on a quarterly basis just to ensure that all of the devices, such as monitors, mouse, keyboard, headsets, are suitable for use and that they can easily integrate into your solutions. Zero touch management too is the key to basically having endpoint devices. All of our Wyse clients are designed to be centrally managed. Um, with the ability to couple ThinOS with the best-in-class management from Wyse Management Suite, this gives us a pairing that provides effortless, hands-free solution for doing your device configuration, imaging, and managing your clients at any time from any location. Using this combination, you can easily set up environments to where you can take units out of the box and have them check in with the management server, gain configurations, and be ready to use in approximately a minute. In addition to that, you can go through and take units out of the box, have them go through complete device imaging, providing the latest operating system updates and components, and have them ready to use in less than 10 minutes. This is a function of ThinOS that has been part of the core of our value, even since our ThinOS 8 operating systems, to where we have that deployment ready solution out of the box, effortless hands-free management combined with Wyse Management Suite for allowing customers to be extremely productive and scale quickly when they need to roll out additional clients. In addition, we covered in the video earlier the console, the administrative console for our configuration user interface. This particular console is shared by both Wyse Management Suite and with ThinOS as well. There's no need to learn any advanced scripting languages in order to configure our devices. Everything is graphically based, and the graphical interface that you see in front of you can be executed either at the local client itself by an administrator or through Wyse Management Suite Console to define policies for an entire group of devices so that they can be deployed as the devices check into the management suite. Selecting the client is critical as well. We have a rich portfolio of devices that are available from our entry-level task-based 3040 client that is designed for users who have simple task-based needs that don't require things such as multimedia or unified communications optimization. We have a knowledge worker devices that come in multiple form factors, including our 5070 desktop factor, our 5470 all-in-one, and our 5470 mobile clients. We have form factors to meet all of your needs, and these knowledge-based devices are suitable for individuals who have multimedia and unified communications needs. Last but not least is our 5070 extended desktop model as well. If there is a need to have more than 3 monitor support on a device in order to fulfill the needs of your customers' environments, this particular model provides that ability. It can run up to 4 4K monitors and 2 2K monitors and has multiple different configuration and port options that are available, including things such as embedded smart card options as well. Looking at ThinOS 9, the top reasons to go to ThinOS 9, once again to recap, is device security. ThinOS is the most secure thin client operating system. It's done so by design, by taking industry standard technologies, along with enhancements that we have provided, such as the closed architecture with the hardened surfaces to create a product that is like no others that are there on the market. We have hands-free deployment and auto configuration abilities as well, to where you can take and simplify IT by simply taking units out of the box, hooking them up to your network, and having DHCP options or DNS records be able to provide the information required to check into the management suite. In addition, we've improved user productivity, having the ability to go through and use the modern desktop mode with rapid booting to create an environment that is friendly to the users, making them more productive in their environments. It is ready to deploy out of the box with popular VDI components from our partners. In addition, but not last, it is basically rich. It has a rich collaboration experience. Having those plugins from Microsoft Teams and Zoom and Cisco to be able to further enhance the user experience in a VDI environment. With that said, I'm going to go ahead then now and turn things over to Stephen Boyer, who is going to be covering the Wyse Management Suite.
Sorry to interrupt, but before we move to Stephen, we have a couple questions in the chat, Fred. So I'm hoping that you can help us answer these. So we have a question from Trey, and he asked, when Citrix user AD, when a Citrix user AD password expires, how can they change it from ThinOS?
I will have to go through and see what we can do to respond to this particular issue. I know that there are some capabilities in ThinOS to do password management using SSPR. I'm not sure if this extends to this particular scenario that has been described. So why don't we do this and take that question offline, and I'll be more than happy to respond back to that user.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. And then have a question from Jason. He's asking, how often does ThinOS rev up? For example, version 9, 10, 11, is there an updated schedule so he knows kind of when these updates are coming?
ThinOS releases on a quarterly basis, and any quarter that we don't have a feature release, we will have a maintenance release. Typically, we'll have feature releases once a year and maintenance releases in between on those off quarters. So every 90 days, you can go to the Dell eSupport site and see the additional features that we have gone through and qualified, the new partner component updates that we have as well, and also any new security fixes or any issues that we have addressed. We will have that information contained in our release notes.
Perfect. And then I have one question. I'm not sure if this was answered, but Arun is asking, does ThinOS 9.1 have Microsoft Teams optimization for AVD?
Right now, the Microsoft SDK is not offering that at this point in time. Microsoft has announced that they are looking into that technology, and they are looking to introduce that in the near future. As soon as that functionality is available to us, we will be investigating it for inclusion into a future release.
Awesome, thank you. It looks like we are getting some questions on Wyse, so Stephen, I will hand it off to you.
Sure, thank you so much. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, great. Okay, I'm Stephen Bowyer. I'm the Wyse Management Suite product owner, product manager and planner. And I'm going to have Fred's kind of driving the presentation today, so I'm going to have to unfortunately ask him to advance those slides. In a bit, I will do a demonstration of Wyse Management Suite live. So, you know, as they say, sometimes it could be demo hell, but I have everything up and running, and we should be able to be good to go with that. You know, most of you might be IT admins. It's kind of like, what do you do with the most of your time at this point? We found through a Forrester report that IT admins, 80% of their time spent on routine maintenance. hopefully from anytime, anywhere. And we designed Wyse Management Suite to do that. And we'll walk through some of those attributes, if you will, and hopefully you will agree with this as we go through this. So go ahead, Fred, if we can go ahead and advance through. So Wyse Management Suite is a hybrid cloud solution. We actually have components that can live in a public cloud. We also have components that live in a private cloud for this solution. You will have that flexibility to choose where it goes, depending upon the version, and we'll talk about those shortly. It gives the ability to configure, manage, monitor, and optimize your Dell thin clients and your Dell hybrid clients, some of those items that Fred mentioned before. Automating the deployment. If you choose our public clouds offering, you have 0 installation time. You don't have to have anything local in your environment. Everything is up in our cloud at this point. You have the ability to configure the BIOS on some of these devices. You push out patches, update the applications, configure those connections that, like Fred was talking about, in your VDI, whether it's in Citrix or VMware, or even your Microsoft environments. Again, be able to push out the applications. And we think it's very important for security. We have some secure communication protocols in this. So whether it's going to be in your environment or you're reaching out across, you're able to do those items. Okay, Fred, next slide, please. So Wyse Management Suite comes basically in 2 flavors. There's a standard and there's pro. Standard is free. It is an on-premise solution only. It can handle up to 10,000 devices, but as your environment gets larger and larger, something to that nature, you probably are going to want to take advantage of some of the more advanced, and as your environment grows, you're going to be wanting to lean toward pro. So you would be able to do that. It is available as a free download. Pro is, we find, is the more sophisticated solution. It is that true hybrid environment where all of your assets could be held in the cloud. You could have all your assets local, or you actually can choose between and have some of those if you have remote workers, and we'll talk about some of those use cases here in a minute. But you can have some of your assets in the in the cloud, or some of those local. It can handle up to 1 million devices. We have the capability for that as far as the overall overhead. And it's not free. It is a per seat, per year subscription. We have 1, 2, 3, and 5-year subscriptions. We even have volume licenses. So if your environment is very large, you have that capability of having that. And as I mentioned before, and Fred mentioned before, we cover the full gambit of the hardware devices, if you will, and running all of the different platform OSs that we offer, whether it's going to be ThinOS, Windows IoT, and IoT, or We10, and then the Dell hybrid client. We even have some what we call our converted PCs, where we call those a software controlled endpoint, to where those would check into WMS as well. Okay, next slide. So some of the reasons you'd want to go to Pro is that we have some additional automations, some of the advanced features. We have a mobile app, and I'll have a screenshot of that. But your admin, and I'm actually trying to quickly jump on my screen here because I had the session up. You won't be able to see too much, but you can see right there, there's a little pie chart. That will match here shortly when I go into the demo. You'll see the same 95 devices that I have in the environment. I mentioned before, it is available in the cloud. We call that the public cloud and the private cloud. Private cloud is on-prem, and public cloud, of course, is where we host our environment today. And of course, the scalability and the ability to manage your environment, your whole fleet of your devices remotely. Again, whether it's on a browser, and we'll do that, or whether it's on your phone. Okay, next slide, please. So some of the use cases that I wanted to mention, these are very common across the board. What you might want to consider for standard, you know, you have a limited budget, or this is a POC. You don't want to invest a lot. Understand that it is for on-prem, so you aren't reaching out into the cloud and having all the definition of your devices there. But it definitely gives you an opportunity to try and see what, you know, Wyse Managed Suite is all about. We have some organizations, they could be agencies that have 3 letters in their name. They could be banks, they could be medical, where they have highly regulated areas and they can't have something active over the internet. So someone could then take all their seats, if you will. You could have, if you have 1,000 seats in your environment, you could have all those 1,000 seats be managed by your on-premise server. So that's what we talk about of having Wyse Management Suite Pro in a private cloud in that environment. Some have call centers, education, some of different areas that have a lot of people who are remote. And so therefore, or you want to have some kind of disaster recovery process. You could have all those definitions in the cloud and everything would be public to your tenant. WMS is a multi-tenant solution. So your environment does not mix with another customer's environment. It is completely secure when it comes to that. But that way, all your definitions are done in the cloud. And then what we see is actually fairly common, and especially today with the work at home efforts and the pandemic, is that where you have many customers, and they could be small to large, where they have some of those definitions in the cloud, and they have some of those definitions done for them in their local server. Okay, next slide, please. Great. And so what I have here, and I hope I will show here shortly, and haven't gone long enough to where I'll be timed out, but I'll log back in if necessary. What Fred showed in a couple of in his video and in a couple of screenshots, this is the dashboard for WMS as you log in, whether you be logging into your public tenant, or you'd be logging in to your local tenant on your servers. The dashboard and all the tabs and everything about the console is the same. And to Fred's point earlier, we've shared this console concept with ThinOS and actually Hybrid Client, to where if you use those devices and you manage those locally, the configurations for those same screens, they translate directly to WMS as well. So when you start going through there and looking see how things are configured, what you learn locally on that device, if you're configuring it, you have the same attributes that you can manage in the console. We feel like it's a great thing. You have the ability to have alerts. You look at all the events. So if you have more than one admin and there's some other people in your environment, you can see what your colleagues are doing. So you can track those events. You also have the dashboard with the devices of whether something is compliant. You pushed out some jobs. There are policies that you want to run and configure. You want to be able to check the status on those guys. Next slide, please. So what you couldn't see when I held up to my camera and kind of going in and out on the focus is that we do have a mobile app. And again, this is for Pro. And so this is one of the reasons that you would want to use that product. One of the others that I wanted to state, I didn't earlier, is that WMS Pro comes with our Pro support for software offering. So you'd be able to call in and be able to get to an agent to help you resolve your issue, and be able to take those all the way up through development if necessary to solve your issue. So that's another reason for Wyse Management Suite Pro. But what I have here is I have a couple of screenshots, and you'd be able to check your alerts, your devices. These tabs pretty much translate into the console that you log into with WMS, the ability to see your alerts and to have a dashboard status. And we'll see that shortly in a minute. And I think that is going to take us to the demo. So let's do this real quick. Yep. So Fred, if you can let me share my screen.
Should be all yours, Stephen.
Yes, indeed. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay, so I mean, this is live. So I've logged into our US one instance. We have two major instances of WMS to cover the globe. US one handles all the Americas, North and South America, and it also handles APJ, so Asia Pacific, Japan. That covers those regions of the world. We also have a EU one, which handles EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So your customer base in there, and that has a lot to do with the policies of those regions. So depending upon it, and since this may be all of US, or it could be we have an international audience, I'm not sure, but you could be able to choose, and we actually do have customers who have those in both locations. You have the flexibility to have some defined in one region, and you can have an on-prem server in another region if you so desire. As you can see here, and you probably weren't able to see on my phone, but I still have the same 95. I'm looking at a tenant here. I've logged in. This particular tenant that I'm in actually happens, it is live. This is production. This actually happens to be a tenant where a lot of our systems engineers do their testing. And so we'd be able to see that. But across, I have the ability to my default view is the dashboard. I have the capability of looking at the different policies that I have. And this is very similar to Windows group policies where things are inherited. So if you have a setting of a particular attribute, screen resolution, if you set that in an upper, and I'll just expand that you can see that we have a hierarchy. If something is set in one hierarchy and then I have it set in a group below that, the bottom group is the one where that it would be an override. It would take precedence. So you can then have these set up. These group policies match what you do today. They could be, and what I mean by that is by the structure. So you could have this by geography. You could have this by department. You could have it by production and test. I mean, the sky's the limit for you to be able to do that. So again, you have these settings and these policies, and I'll just scroll down here. You have the ability to set time zones. So again, if you had things in your company headquarters and you put the time zone there, but then when you got into these groups down there, depending upon if they were, different regions, east, west, central, you could set those kind of attributes in those, groups below, and your devices would get that. As I mentioned before, you have the capability of, let me just go here and just do a quick test. You have the capability of different settings, and I'm going to go back up. So that's the group policies. You have the capability of looking at the devices, and you can go through several filters. I have here, I'm looking at my whole fleet, but I do have the capability, and I'm sorry, I'm scrolling crazily. I was just going to have it look at a particular device. You can look at a lot of the details on these devices. the system information, any events that have happened on that. You'll be able to look at the applications that are starred, and then you can actually do some troubleshooting. You can request, say, in this case, a log. You have the capability of restarting. You can shut them down. You can unregister them. You can do a factory reset. And we even have more where you can, change things, like in this case, sync up the BIOS password. So there's a lot of capabilities there. Of course, something that's very important for WMS, and in the case of like with Fred talking about other items within their operating system, you have the capability of deploying applications and to these endpoints, and you can set up policies. You can have schedules. There's a lot that you'd be able to do with WMS. And again, we talked about that anywhere, anytime to your fleet of devices. We have rules. We can set up jobs, and even users, depending upon the platform that you're working from. So that's a quick introduction to WMS. I don't know. I'm not looking at. I'm going to stop sharing at this point in time, but I think that's going to be it for the sharing.
Okay, it looks like we have, it looks like a couple of people are answering your question there, Dimitri. We have another question regarding, is there a way to assist a user on their thin client desktop in the 9.1.1131?
Well, assisting on their desktop, there's always VNC capabilities on all of our clients. Then, so if you're an on-premise user with WMS, you always have the ability from WMS to VNC into the desktop and actually take control depending upon how the client policies are set up. It can just be monitoring the device, or you can even take full access to where a remote admin can go through and do things like take over the device, log in as an administrator, and then selectively make whatever changes that are appropriate or required.
Great, thank you. Okay, it looks like Thomas had an additional part of his question. He's saying cloud WMS.
Yeah, with cloud WMS, there are some things that are being considered for the future. Stephen and I have talked about enhancing the experience to provide better desktop controls in the future for cloud users for items such as units that are deployed into homes. So those are things that are under investigation at this time.